The lightsaber in Anakin Skywalker's hand was shaking, not from fear, from rage. His knuckles were white around the hilt. His teeth were clenched so hard his jaw hurt. And in front of him, on the polished floor of the Jedi archives, lay a datapad that had just destroyed 12 years of his life. 3 hours earlier, he had been a Jedi Knight, a hero of the Republic, a husband hiding a secret pregnancy in a Senate apartment, a man who trusted the 11 masters who sat on the council above him, a man who believed the Chancellor was his friend. 3 hours later, he knew all of it was a lie. The datapad was still glowing, the file was still open. It had a date stamp, 19 years ago, before the Clone Wars, before Naboo, before a small boy had ever walked into the Jedi Temple. The file was a report, signed by Mace Windu, countersigned by Yoda. Reviewed by Ki-Adi-Mundi, Plo Koon, and Ceci-Teen. The subject line was 7 words long. Asterisk Senator Sheev Palpatine, confirmed Sith Lord, Naboo, Naboo. Anakin read it 3 times. His eyes moved over every word, every signature, every time stamped. The report was clear. The Council had known. Since Naboo, since he was 9 years old, since the day they had told him he was too old, too fearful, too dangerous to train, they had known who Palpatine was, and they had said nothing. For 13 years, they had let a Sith Lord run the Republic. For 13 years, they had let Anakin Skywalker sit in that Sith Lord's office, drink his tea, call him friend, take his advice. For 13 years, they had watched Palpatine's hand on the shoulder of a boy who worshipped him, and they had done nothing. Anakin's breath was coming fast now. Short, angry, his chest was on fire. He looked up at the archive ceiling, the high stone dome, the stained glass windows, the banners of 1,000 fallen Jedi, and he heard his own voice, quiet and cold, echo through the empty room. You knew. The lightsaber ignited in his hand, blue, pure, humming. You knew, and you let her die anyway. He did not know yet, in that moment, that Padme was still alive. He was talking about the future, the one Palpatine had shown him in a vision 3 nights ago. The one Palpatine had promised to prevent, the one the Council could have prevented themselves 13 years ago. If they had simply killed a senator on Naboo, they had chosen not to. And Anakin Skywalker, standing alone in the Jedi archives at midnight with a blue blade in his hand, made a decision that would end the order that had raised him. He was going to make them answer for it, every single one of them. The file had not come to him by accident. That was the part that made his hands shake. 6 hours earlier, a Padawan named Barriss Offee had walked up to Anakin in the training gardens. She had not spoken to him in a year, not since her trial, not since Ahsoka had walked away from the Order because of what Barriss had done. Barriss had a small chip in her palm. She held it out. I found this in the archive purge queue. They were about to delete it. I don't know why, but your name is in it 17 times. Anakin had taken the chip. He had not thanked her. He had not looked at her. He had just walked away. He had gone to the archives. He had inserted the chip. He had opened the file. Now, at midnight, he understood what Barriss had done. She had not helped him. She had detonated him, because Barriss Offee had known exactly what was on that chip. She had known what Anakin Skywalker would do when he read it. She had known that the Jedi Order she hated would not survive what came next, and she had been right. Anakin walked out of the archives with the datapad in one hand and his lightsaber in the other. He passed a night guard. The guard nodded at him. Anakin did not nod back. The guard's eyes followed him down the hall, and later, when questioned, the guard would say only one thing. His face was wrong. He was smiling, but his eyes were dead. Nanihan nangpad desin diordan. Irate did not me. He was tundana nanmihan danandimartum. He did not go to the council. He went to Palpatine. The Chancellor was still awake. He was always awake. He looked up from his desk as Anakin walked in, and for one brief second, Palpatine's face did something it never did. It hesitated, because Palpatine could feel it. The rage, the clarity, the dangerous, focused calm of a man who had just learned that everyone he trusted had lied to him for 13 years. Anakin sat down across from him. He put the datapad on the desk between them. He turned it around so Palpatine could read the subject line. Palpatine read it. He looked up. He smiled the same soft, grandfatherly smile he had used on a 9-year-old slave boy from Tatooine. Ah, so you have finally seen it. Even Namonamontrum. Ananding's hands closed into fists on the arms of the chair. You knew I would find it. I hoped you would. I wanted you to see them for what they are, my boy. That is all I have ever wanted. Palpatine stood up. He walked around the desk. He put one hand on Anakin's shoulder, the same hand that had rested there since Anakin was 10 years old. They knew what I was. They let you serve me anyway. They let you love me. They let you call me friend. And now, when the moment comes and I offer you the power to save your wife, they will strike me down and tell you I was the enemy. They will make you the villain, again, as they always have. Anani Hananin was not looking at him. He was looking at the datapad on the desk. He was looking at Mace Windu's signature. He spoke very quietly. "You are the Sith Lord. Yes, you have been lying to me my entire life. Yes, and they have been lying to me my entire life. Yes." Anakin stood up. Palpatine's hand fell away from his shoulder. Anakin turned and walked to the window. He looked out over Coruscant. 1,000 towers, 1 billion lights, a galaxy that had been run for 13 years by two groups of liars who had used him as a weapon against each other. He turned around. He looked at Palpatine. He said one sentence: "I am not choosing you. I am choosing me." Then he walked out. Ki-Adi-Mundi was in his quarters when Anakin came for him. He was old. He was tired. He was praying, quietly, in the way Syrian Jedi prayed, with his eyes closed and his hands flat on the floor. He heard the door open. He did not turn around. He assumed it was his Padawan. It was not. Anakin ignited the blue blade before Ki-Adi-Mundi turned. The Master's own saber flew off the shelf into his hand, ignited green, and blocked the first strike. It was a good block. Ki-Adi-Mundi had been a Jedi for 130 years. He was fast even in old age. He was not fast enough. Anakin did not fight like a Jedi. He fought like a man who had a name in his head and would not stop until that name was crossed off. Ki-Adi-Mundi went down in 9 seconds. His last words were a question, not a plea. Why? Ki-Adi-Mundo. Ki-Adi-Minoni. He held up the datapad. He let the old master read the subject line before his eyes went dim. Ki-Adi-Mundi understood. He closed his eyes. He whispered one word: "Forgive us." Anakin stood up. He turned off the datapad. He walked out. He did not forgive them. Saesee was next. He was in the temple hangar, checking his starfighter for a mission at dawn. He never made it to the mission. Anakin killed him beside his own ship, in 3 moves, with the datapad tucked under his arm. Plo Koon was in the meditation hall. He saw Anakin coming from 20 meters away. He did not draw his saber. He held up one hand. "Skywalker, whatever they have told you, whatever you have seen, we can talk about this." Anakin did not stop walking. "You knew. We were watching him. We were building a case. We could not act without proof, Anakin. Do you understand what a chancellor is? Do you understand what would have happened to the Republic if we had struck without? You could have told me." Plo Koon's mask tilted. His voice went very soft. "You were 9 years old, my friend. I was 32 last year, and you still said nothing." Plo Koon closed his eyes. He drew his saber. He ignited it. It was blue, like Anakin's, and for a strange moment, they stood facing each other with the same color of light between them. Plo Koon lasted longer than the others, 20 seconds. He was one of the best duelists in the Order. But he was fighting a man who had nothing left to lose, and a datapad full of signatures burning in his memory. Plo Koon died with dignity. He bowed his head as the blue blade came down. He did not beg. He did not run. He said only, "Tell Wolf I am sorry," and then he was gone. Anakin stood over him for a long time. That one had hurt. Plo Koon had been kind to him. Plo Koon had found Ahsoka in the Outer Rim and brought her home. Plo Koon had never lied to him about small things, only about the one thing that mattered. By the time Anakin reached the council chamber, the alarm had gone up. Every Jedi in the temple was awake. Padawans were running for the exits. Knights were pulling on robes and igniting sabers. 6 council members were dead. 2 were off-world. The 3 remaining, Mace Windu, Yoda, and Kit Fisto, were waiting in the round chamber at the top of the tower. Anakin walked in with blood on his boots and the datapad still glowing in his hand. He put it on the floor in the center of the room. The file was still open. The signatures were still visible. He looked at Mace Windu. Mace was standing very still. His purple blade was ignited. His face was the face of a man who had known this day would come, in some form, for 13 years. "Skywalker, put down the blade. You signed it. I signed a report. I did not sign a lie. You knew. You knew when I was 9. You knew when I was 12. You knew when I was 20. You knew last year when I sat in your chair and asked you what to do about the visions of my wife dying, and you told me to detach and let her go." Mace's jaw moved. He said nothing, because there was nothing to say. Anakin was right. Yoda spoke from the shadows. "A trap, this is. Palpatine wants this. His plan, this always was." Anakin turned his head slowly. "Then you should have killed him 13 years ago." Yoda closed his eyes. The old master's ears drooped. His stick lowered. "Right, you are." Kit Fisto stepped forward. His green blade came up. Anakin killed him first. It was fast. It was clean. Kit Fisto had done nothing to deserve it except be in the room. That was enough. Then Mace. Mace fought like the master he was. The purple blade was a hurricane. Anakin was faster. Anakin had been faster for 2 years, and Mace had known it, and Mace had never said it. The fight lasted 40 seconds. Mace Windu died on the floor of the chamber where he had once told a 9-year-old boy that fear led to the dark side. Yoda did not fight. The old master sat down on the floor. He put his stick across his knees. He looked up at Anakin, at the man he had failed, at the fire he had helped to build by not putting it out when it was small. Do it then. Deserved this, we have. Anakin raised the blade. He did not bring it down. Because in that exact moment, Anakin Skywalker saw something. Not a memory, not a thought, a vision. The Force gave it to him unasked, unwanted, complete. He saw himself, 30 years from now. He was old. His hair was long and gray. He was sitting alone on a black throne, in a black room. The galaxy outside the window was silent. There were no ships. There were no lights. There were no voices. Padme was not there. She had died anyway. She had died in childbirth, screaming his name, alone, in a medical bay on Palis Massa, because the man who could have saved her had been too busy killing Jedi to be with her. His son was not there. Luke had grown up on Tatooine, alone, hating the name Skywalker. He had died at 19 in a fighter over a moon that had been destroyed by a weapon Anakin had built with Palpatine's designs. His daughter was not there. Leia had been raised by strangers. She had led a rebellion against him. She had died on a bridge on Endor, with a green blade through her chest, killed by a stormtrooper commander who did not know who she was. Anakin was on the throne. He was alone. He had killed everyone. He had won, and there was nothing left to win. The vision snapped away. Anakin was back in the council chamber. Yoda was still sitting in front of him. The blue blade was still raised. Kit Fisto and Mace Windu were still dead on the floor. But Anakin's hand was shaking now. He looked at the datapad on the floor. He looked at the signatures. He looked at Ki-Adi-Mundi's and Plo Koon's and Saesee Teen's and Macy's and Yoda's. Then he looked at his own hand and he saw the future in the shake of it. The blade lowered. Anakin Skywalker turned off his saber. He dropped it on the floor. He sat down across from Yoda. The old master opened his eyes. Anakin's voice was very quiet. I am not going to kill you. Why? Because he wants me to. Yoda understood. He nodded slowly. And killed you would still be by his hand tomorrow. Yes. Anakin stood up. He picked up the datapad. He looked out the window of the council chamber at the towers of Coruscant, at the office where a Sith Lord was waiting for him to come home a monster. He was not going home. He walked out of the chamber. He walked past the bodies of the men he had killed. He did not look at them. He did not have time to grieve them. He would grieve them for the rest of his life. He went to the Senate. He walked into the emergency chamber. He interrupted a debate. He held up the datapad. He told the galaxy, in a live broadcast, that Chancellor Sheev Palpatine was a Sith Lord, that the Jedi Council had known for 13 years, that 6 masters were dead tonight because of that silence. That he, Anakin Skywalker, had killed them, and that he would answer for it in any court the Senate chose. But first, he said, the Senate would arrest Palpatine, or he would kill the Senate too. Bail Organa stood up. Mon Mothma stood up. Padme Amidala stood up in the back, 3 months pregnant, her hand on her stomach, her eyes on her husband. One by one, the Senate stood. Palpatine was arrested that night. He did not go quietly. He killed 4 guards before they cut off his head in the corridor outside his own office. His body was displayed on Holonet News for 3 days. The Clone Wars ended within a month. The Separatists surrendered without a leader. Dooku vanished. Grievous was found and killed on Utapau by Obi-Wan. Anakin Skywalker turned himself in. He was tried by the Senate. He was found guilty of 6 murders. He was sentenced to 20 years on a prison moon in the Outer Rim. He served every day of it. Padme raised the twins alone. She visited him once a year. She brought Luke and Leia when they were old enough. Luke did not understand at first why his father was in a cell. Leia understood immediately. She was always the sharper one. When Anakin got out, he was 54 years old. His hair was gray. His hands shook. He went home to Naboo. Padme was waiting on the landing pad. She did not run to him. She walked. She took his hand. She led him inside. He never held a lightsaber again. The Jedi Order was rebuilt without a council. Yoda spent his final years training small children on Dagobah, quietly, without robes, without titles. He died at 950. His last words were, right, he was. The galaxy remembered Anakin Skywalker 2 ways. Some remembered him as the man who killed 6 Jedi Masters in one night. Some remembered him as the man who exposed the Sith and ended the war. Both were true. Only one mattered to him, the one where his children got to grow up with a father. Darth Vader was never born because one Jedi read a file at midnight and chose for the first time in his life to burn the truth into the world instead of swallowing it. 22 years had passed since the doors of the Outer Rim prison moon opened and let Anakin Skywalker walk back into the sunlight. Not the lake country shores of Naboo. The winds were soft, carrying the scent of wild flowers and wet earth. Anakin sat on the stone balcony of the Veracino villa, his artificial right hand resting motionless on his knee. His left hand, the real one, weathered and lined with age, held a wooden carving tool. He was shaping a piece of soft lake wood for his grandson. Behind him, the soft click of boots on marble heralded a visitor. He didn't need to turn around to know who it was. The Force, long quieted like a banked fire, gave off a gentle, familiar hum. Leia Organa Skywalker stepped onto the balcony. She wasn't wearing Senate robes today. She wore a simple dark cape over traveling clothes, her dark hair bound in braids. As a high representative of the New Republic, her days were usually filled with galactic legislation, rebuilding systems devastated by 2 decades of political restructuring, and ensuring that no single entity ever held absolute executive power again. "He's asking for you," Leia said, her voice carrying the crisp, no-nonsense authority she had inherited from Padme, tempered by the quiet gravel of her father's tone. Anakin blew the wooden shavings off his carving. "Which one?" "The Grand Master." She allowed herself a small, faint smile. "Or whatever title Luke is refusing to call himself this week." Anakin set the piece of wood down. "The new temple on Ossus doesn't need an old murderer walking through its halls, Leia. We discussed this. It's not a temple, Father." Luke made sure of that. "No spire, no council chamber. Just a school in the woods," Leia said, walking over to stand beside his chair, looking out over the blue waters. "And he's not asking you to teach swordplay. He's having trouble with the history curriculum." Anakin's jaw tightened slightly. "The history is written. The Senate published the full transcript of my trial 30 years ago." "Luke doesn't want the Senate's transcript," Leia replied softly, placing a hand on his shoulder. "He wants the truth about Barriss Offee." The name hung in the warm Naboo air like a drop of ice water. Anakin hadn't uttered that name in decades. Barriss Offee, the Padawan who had handed him the spark that ignited the Jedi Temple that night. The girl who had detonated his world, hoping to destroy a corrupt order, only to inadvertently save the galaxy from a 1,000-year Sith Empire. "What about her?" Anakin asked, his voice low. "She died 3 weeks ago, in a quiet village on Felucia. She had been living under an assumed name, Healing Farmers," Leia said. "She left a sealed cylinder addressed to you. Luke didn't open it. He brought it here." Anakin was silent for a long time. The lake rippled below. In the distance, the faint laughter of Luke's young apprentices could almost be imagined, though they were half a galaxy away. He stood up slowly. His joints ached, a reminder of 20 years of hard labor in the damp mines of the prison moon. He walked inside the villa. Luke was waiting in the study. At 35, Luke Skywalker looked remarkably like the young man Anakin had seen in that terrifying, erased vision in the council chamber all those years ago. Except his eyes were calm, devoid of the hatred that would have consumed a boy raised in the shadows of an empire. He wore simple tan tunics. No lightsaber hung at his belt. "Father," Luke said, bowing his head respectfully. On the desk between them lay a silver cylinder, tarnished with age and green Felucian moss. "Did you read it?" Anakin asked. "No," Luke said. "It wasn't meant for the Republic, and it wasn't meant for my students. It was meant for the man who carried the weight." Anakin reached out with his mechanical hand. His synthetic skin picked up the cool temperature of the metal. He pressed the activator. A small, translucent hologram flickered to life above the desk. The figure was old, her face lined with age. Her Mirialan tattoos faded into soft gray patterns. She wore simple linen robes. "Anakin," the hologram spoke. Her voice was thin but clear. "If you are seeing this, then the Force has granted us both the one thing we never thought we would have: time." Anakin did not move. He barely breathed. "When I gave you that chip 33 years ago, I was consumed by dark light," Barriss's recording continued. "I believed the Jedi were irredeemable. I believed the only way to stop the war was to burn the temple to the ground from the inside. I knew what was on that datapad because I had spent months digging through the Master Archives, looking for proof of the Council's hypocrisy." She paused, looking down in the recording, as if gathering her strength. "I thought you would kill Palpatine. I thought Palpatine would kill you. I thought the Senate would execute the Council, and the galaxy would finally see that both sides were monsters. I gave you that chip expecting a massacre that would end everything." She raised her eyes, looking directly into Anakin's. "I was wrong about you. I thought you were just the Council's weapon. I did not know you were a man capable of choosing a third path. You destroyed the Order, yes, but you saved the Republic. You went to prison. You took the burden. You let yourself be hated so the truth could live." A soft, sad smile touched her ghostly lips. "I spent 30 years in exile, waiting for the dark side to consume the galaxy anyway. It never came, because one man stopped bowing to masters and started listening to his soul. Thank you, Skywalker, for proving me wrong." The Force is at peace because you refuse to be a pawn. The hologram flickered and died. Silence filled the room. The Naboo sunlight streamed through the stained glass windows, casting soft red and gold light across the floorboards. Luke looked at his father. He saw a tear trace a path down the deep lines of Anakin's weathered cheek, disappearing into his gray beard. "She was right," Luke said softly. "You broke the cycle." Anakin looked at the dead silver cylinder. He remembered the smell of ozone in the Jedi archives. He remembered Ki-Adi-Mundi's last words, "Forgive us." He remembered Mace Windu's purple blade. He remembered the cold horror of the vision that had stayed his hand from Yoda's throat. "I didn't break it to be a hero, Luke," Anakin said, his voice thick with 30 years of unspoken grief. "I broke it because I saw what I would become if I let hatred finish the story." He turned to his son, placing his hand on Luke's shoulder, the same gesture Palpatine had used to manipulate him, but now filled with genuine, uncorrupted love. "Tell your students the truth," Anakin said clearly. "Tell them about Mace Windu's pride. Tell them about Yoda's silence. Tell them about Palpatine's deceit, and tell them about Barriss Offee's anger." "And what do I tell them about Anakin Skywalker?" Luke asked. Anakin looked out the window at Padme, who was walking up the garden path with a basket of fresh fruit, her face peaceful under the afternoon sun. "Tell them he was a man who spent 9 years in slavery, 13 years in blindness, 20 years in a cell, and the rest of his life learning how to be human." Anakin picked up the cylinder, walked out to the balcony, and tossed it into the deep, clear waters of the lake below. It sank without a sound, vanishing into the blue depths, leaving no trace behind, only the peaceful, unbroken surface of a galaxy that had finally learned how to heal.